Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakahakadesh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. And shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And I came across this video, which I'm going to show. It's short, about 4 minutes. But these elites, these devils got these seeds in a vault, and they dug into the side of a mountain, and they got this, you might as well call it a big bunker, where they have these seeds stored. And I just wanted to bring this out because this is part of their plan, because they're knowing what's at hand and what's coming up, and they think they're going to be able to save themselves by digging into this by residing in this bunker when the nuclear destruction comes about. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it, and I'm going to stop and make a few comments on it. And then I have a few verses that I want to bring out. And then that'll be the end of this. This won't be very long. And I'm going to go ahead and start this. This is fair use. Fair use is just for edification purposes.
It's crazy how the majority of the global population doesn't know the answer to the question, what if all plants on Earth went extinct? How would we bring them back to life if all of them started slowly dying out? The answer to this question lies in Norway's top-secret Doomsday Vault, better known as the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. This vault represents a secure backup facility for the world's crop diversity on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen.
And I just wanted to stop this right now, and then I'm going to let it play. And see, they're planning for a contingency where all plants, all vegetation would die out all at one time. Now, how's that going to come about? The only way that can really come about is by some kind of nuclear fallout, some kind of nuclear destruction to take place. So they know what's at hand. They know what's going to take place, and they're doing this in an effort to be able to hide themselves and to be able to think that they're going to be able to go ahead and bring about food and still grow food in these underground bunkers. But I'm going to let this play.
In the remote Arctic Svalbard archipelago. It's one of the most important buildings on Earth, and yet so few people don't know about it. It's important because it provides long-term storage of duplicates of seeds conserved in gene banks around the world. This building provides security for the world's food supply against the loss of seeds in gene banks due to various events that could take place, ranging from mismanagement, accidents, equipment failures, funding cuts, war, sabotage, disease, and natural disasters. In other words, the plants on Earth are safe from extinction forever as long as this vault is operating. And to make it even better, the whole vault costs just $8.8 million to build. So we've got a few extra questions to answer now. How did it cost so little to build, and how does it operate? The answer lies in great engineering and maybe even greater location. This vault is 120 meters buried into a sandstone mountain on Spitsbergen Island, and the refrigerator...
So look at that. It's buried into the side of a mountain. All right, and not only do they have seeds there, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm bet you and they have more facilities in there where they can grow these seeds, and they can also, it's a place for them to go and think that they can hide themselves from a nuclear fallout. Because I know they have more, there's more in there. Look how big that is. I know there's more in there than just seeds. They got to have all kind of other facilities in there. All right, I'm going to let this play.
Units inside it cool the seeds to the internationally recommended standard of -18 degrees Celsius. But what happens if the equipment fails for some reason? Will the ice inside the vault melt and make the seeds go bad? Luckily, no. Since the vault is buried literally in the earth, it's surrounded by permafrost. Permafrost is permanently frozen ground that stays below 0 degrees Celsius for 2 or more consecutive years. The oldest permafrost known to man has been frozen for the last 700,000 years. In this case, the seed vault is surrounded by permafrost, which could keep the temperature inside the vault at -3 degrees Celsius if the equipment decided to fail. Even if that happened, it would take several weeks, if not months, for the temperature to rise to -3 degrees Celsius from -18 degrees Celsius. This means that the seed vault could preserve most major food crop seeds for hundreds of years. On top of all that, the vault needs no permanent staff on site. All seed...
Alright. And I'm going to let this continue to play, but once I began looking at this, I wanted to see what these Doomsday seeds are. So I Googled Doomsday seeds. And it says, Doomsday seeds refers to a vast, diverse collection of food crop seeds, primarily housed in Svalbard Global Seed Vault, an Arctic facility serving as humanity's backup for food security. These duplicate seeds are frozen to preserve them for millennia, providing an ultimate insurance policy against catastrophic events like war, disease, climate change, or natural disasters that could destroy food supplies. The seeds are duplicates of those stored in other gene banks worldwide and can be withdrawn for use when vital crops are lost. And it says the purpose of Doomsday seeds, it says, is for food security, to ensure that humanity has access to a variety of seeds in the event of widespread crop destruction, allowing for the restoration of agriculture. Now, they got all these seeds stored up, and yet you still have people in certain places who have a lack of food, who have a lack of access to even having these seeds where they can plant them into a good soil that they can make food for themselves. So they got these all stored up just for their use whenever they see necessary to disperse them to whoever they want to disperse them to. So I kind of look at it, I look down at the funding and the management of this thing, and it says operated by the Norwegian government with support from international organizations and foundations like the Rockefeller and Gates Foundations. So you see what devils got control over this and who funded this and built this facility. All right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go ahead and let this continue to play.
Inside the vault have been stored in aluminium bags since 2004. Before switching to aluminium bags, glass tubes were originally used for storage. The low temperature and limited access to oxygen ensure low metabolic activity and delay seed aging. When the vault was opened back in 2008, it ranked 6th on Time's Best Innovations of 2008. And as of 2022, almost 1.2 million seed varieties were stored in this vault. Total capacity of the vault is 2.5 billion seeds. Seeds are stored in accessions. An accession usually represents a batch of seeds from the same variety or cultivar, potentially containing thousands of individual seeds.
All right, so they relatively just got started storing these seeds, even though they probably been working on this facility for years. But they really seem like they're hastening to get this thing up and running and getting it going to where they have the amount of seeds that they want to have in this vault. And like I said, ain't no telling what else they have in this facility. But see, this is an effort for them to protect themselves, for them to have a place to run to when that nuclear destruction comes about, which is inevitable. World War III is in the scripture, and it is, you can see it's close at hand right now. I got a verse I wanted to bring out because these devils think that this is where they're going to be able to run to. This is Amos chapter 9 and verse 2. It says, though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. And though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. So this is the Most High saying that was no matter where these devils try to go, no matter what they dig into, what bunkers they create, they're only sealing their own doom. Whatever heights they try to reach to try to leave this planet, when a nuclear destruction comes about, they're only sealing their own doom because there's no place you're going to be able to hide. And when Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai comes back to this place to destroy it. And I'm going to let this continue to play.
Thanks to the great idea and engineering, our plants are safe from going extinct. And because of that, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault got the second name, Noah's Ark of Seeds. In our opinion, the $8.8 million dedicated to building this giant vault has...
And they call it the Noah's Ark of Seeds. See, they think they're going to be able to go ahead, once that nuclear destruction comes about, they think they're going to be able to sustain their lives in these bunkers. And then be able to come right back and continue in rulership. But that's not what's going to happen. They don't realize they got, their time is up. And that's not what's going to happen. You're not just going to go and destroy this place or initiate a nuclear fallout and then be able to run to a bunker and hide out on all this stuff that you supplied yourselves with and then be able to come back and think you're going to be back in rulership at a certain amount of time. I want to go over to Psalms 149. Let's see. I'm going to read Psalms 149. I'm going to start at 5 and read down. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. See, because you're not going to escape Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai and his angels and his saints. You're not going to be able to escape, because even though you try to hide yourselves in these bunkers, even if you do sustain life for yourselves for a little while, you're going to get dug out of there. You're going to get dragged out of there, and you're going to go into captivity. That is what's written. You're going into captivity. You're not going to be able to escape. Verse 7, it says, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, and to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. So you see, it's written right here. You're going into slavery. You're going to be bound in chains, and you're going to go into slavery, and you're going to serve the Most High. And you're going to be in the kingdom, but you're going to be there in servitude. All right, it's just got a couple more, maybe a minute or so left. I'll let it finish out.
It's already paid off. What do you think? Leave your opinion down below and click on the screen to watch the next video.
All right, and that's the end of that. And once I looked at this, it made me want to go and just consult their doomsday clock. This is something that they created a while ago, while they were right after they finished creating nuclear weapons. So this is doomsday clock according to Google. It says the doomsday clock is a design that warns the public about how close we are to destroying our world with dangerous technologies of our own making. All right, and it says closer than ever. Says it is now 89 seconds to midnight. And this is a 2025 Doomsday Clock statement. Says founded in 1945 by Albert Einstein, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and University of Chicago scientists who helped develop the first atomic weapons in the Manhattan Project. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists created the Doomsday Clock 2 years later, using the imagery of apocalypse and the contemporary idiom of nuclear explosion to convey threats to humanity and the planet. The Doomsday Clock is set every year by the Bulletin's Science and Security Board in consultation with its board of sponsors, which includes 9 global laureates. The clock has become a universally recognized indicator of the world's vulnerability to global catastrophe caused by man-made technologies. All right, it says in 2024, humanity edged ever closer to catastrophe. Trends that have deeply concerned the Science and Security Board continued, and despite unmistakable signs of danger, national leaders and their societies have failed to do what is needed to change course. Consequently, we now move the Doomsday Clock from 90 seconds to 89 seconds to midnight. You need to move it closer than that because they don't realize how close we are to this thing being over. Says the closest it has ever been to catastrophe. Our fervent hope is that leaders will recognize the world's existential predicament and take bold action to reduce the threats posed by nuclear weapons, climate change, and potential misuse of biological science and a variety of emerging technologies. Says in setting the clock 1 second closer to midnight, we send a stark signal because the world is already perilously close to the precipice. A move of even a single second could be taken as an indication of extreme danger and unmistakable warning that every second of delay in reversing course increases the probability of global disaster. Says in regard to nuclear risks, the war in Ukraine now is in its 3rd year, looms over the world. The conflict could become nuclear at any moment because of a rash decision or through accident or miscalculation. The conflict in the Middle East threatens to spiral out of control into a wider war without warning. The countries that possess nuclear weapons are increasing the size and role of their arsenals, investing hundreds of millions of dollars in weapons that can destroy civilization. The nuclear arms control process is collapsing, and high-level contacts among nuclear powers are totally inadequate given the danger at hand. Alarmingly, it is no longer unusual for countries without nuclear weapons to consider developing arsenals of their own, actions that would undermine long-standing non-proliferation efforts and increases the ways in which the nuclear war could start. So not only do these big countries not only are they upgrading and building their arsenals, even the small countries who at one time didn't have nuclear weapons are developing nuclear weapons as well. So to have a nuclear weapon at this point is nothing. All right, and it goes on, but I'm not going to read this long article. I mean, you can just see just by the way things are that time is getting short. You can see that there's different frictions and types of chaos that's going on just in the United States alone, and DJT is pushing this along by he's sending troops to different cities. A lot of chaos is starting to break out, and in an effort for him to move along his agenda, He's allowing these things to go because he wants to push along his agenda. He wants to push along what he wants to do, what he wants to accomplish. Because he doesn't think that he's going to leave office. He wants to remain there. So I got just one more verse that I wanted to bring out, and then that'll be the end of this. But I'm going to go to Revelation 12 and verse 12. Because like I said, we can see steps being taken that's bringing this thing and moving this thing along. It says, Revelation 12, verse 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And he knows that, like I mentioned, DJT, knowing that the time is short, he's getting these things and he's fostering this chaos, and he's fostering these other cities and sending troops to these various cities in an effort to be able to say that he's got a legitimate reason for bringing about martial law. All right, because he knows that the time is short and he wants to accomplish his agenda. And in order for him to bring about this martial law, he's got to have more chaos in more cities. He's got to have more of these troops to be dispensed out throughout the United States, so that by the time it comes around for election time, he'll be able to have his reasoning for bringing about martial law. Because once he brings about that martial law, he don't have to go anywhere. He can suspend the elections and continue on with his agenda. And he's moving as fast as he can because he knows the time is short. It's right around the corner. All right? But I'm going to leave it right there. And I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKadosh. Shalom.